So it's been reported that the game Tales of Berseria is gonna have censorship on one particular scene. Here's that scene courtesy of Censored Gaming. Now, Bandai Namco has made a statement on this, and they said that they only censored that one scene to avoid the M rating. You can see it yourself. One is impaled by magic, and one is impaled by sword. They're both scenes of a kid being impaled, and somehow one is less okay than the other. Again, like every other censorship scene, I'm still baffled on why this change even happens. Keep in mind that Uncharted 4 can get away with the T rating. It's almost like the ESRB is biased towards Japanese games. They absolutely hated those awful weeb stuff, do they? Now, this is just absolutely typical censorship being done by game developers who don't understand that consumers don't want to get the inferior Western version when the Japanese version is completely uncensored. Again, if you want more coverage of these games being censored, Censored Gaming does a much better job than I ever could. So why am I talking about this in particular? Well, because I once played Tales of Legendia when I was a kid back on PS2, and as far as I remember, it was a really good game and I freaking loved it. I'm waiting for a PC port of that, definitely. Then I decided to play another Tales game on PC, Tales of Symphonia, and it was pretty good. The PC port could be a hell of a lot better though. Now, am I talking about this just because I have fond memories of the series? Well, no actually, there's something else. So recently there's a drama involving the modders of the TSFix, which is basically a mod that will fix the broken-ass PC version, like the DS fix for Dark Souls. I know this because I downloaded it and needed that mod to make Symphonia remotely functional, so there's that. As anyone following the activity there can attest to, Tales of Berseria currently has an absolutely toxic Steam community. Not only will the game receive some censorship, but it's also possible its PC port will have its DRM protected by the anti-tamper system Denuvo, seeing how Namco Bandai has stated out using it some time ago. Okay, those things should be bad news to your average consumer, especially Denuvo. If you don't know what Denuvo is, it's basically an anti-piracy always online measure that just puts a lot of hassle to people who legally buys the game. Not only the fact that it hinders on your experience in a lot of ways, but when you bring up this issue on Steam, you get banned. And for all the talks of how Denuvo will basically kick the pirates' ass, Doom, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Metal Gear Solid 5, Batman Arkham Knight, Mad Max, Dragon Age Inquisition, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, big games in the past couple of years just got cracked. So many of the games that are being protected by Denuvo just got cracked, to the point where game developers are pulling Denuvo off of their games. Oh, and by the way, according to a recent survey, only 35% of PC gamers are active pirates, as in people who pirate games and never actually went on Steam. And even if 100% of them are all active pirates, about 88.6% of people has chances of buying the game after they pirated it. Take some notes there, game devs. Hashtag not all pirates are evil. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Let's get back on track. While I'm sure most fans are too concerned about either of these things, only a few seconds of cutscenes and footage have been censored, and a lot of things claimed about Denuvo aren't actually true, a very vocal and hostile minority is starting to boycott the game for the flimsiest of reason. I love that people are just saying that it's not true because people who actually bring up the issues of Denuvo just got banned! Hello, wake up! And by the way, two sides of the argument have been absolute jackasses, so don't pretend that you're the only innocent party here. Normally, this wouldn't be that much of a cause of concern, seeing how this initial wave of anger will gradually dissipate, and the upcoming demo will allow for many new topics of discussion. But unfortunately, Caldean got swept about this. After several days of being showered with insults for defending the censorship and the possibility of Denuvo being used, he spontaneously decided to cancel his plans to mod Tales of Berseria and announced that he's abandoning PC gaming as a whole so that he doesn't have to put up with such awful people anymore. He even made his profile private and deleted all of his mod-related guides. Okay, two problems with that argument. One, you defended censorship. Two, you defended Denuvo. If you cannot see why people are angry because of those things, maybe you should listen instead of burying your head in the sand. And like I said in the last video, I'm not gonna ask people to boycott on things. I will leave the boycott decisions entirely up to individuals. I'm just gonna say this. Tales of Berseria has one of the scenes censored from the game, and the game is gonna be filled with Denuvo. My fellow viewers, make your own decision. Now, the modder Caldean, this is a decision that he made, and for that I can totally respect it. However, I can also criticize it, and I think that this decision was completely unfounded. I'm still baffled on his reasonings and his justifications on quitting the modding scene thanks to the toxic communities. I mean, that term, toxic communities, I really don't trust that. The way people use it, it's just a way to smear other people who bring in legitimate criticisms. And seeing how people got banned for criticizing Denuvo on Steam, I guess it's safe to say that this toxic community is probably just a lie. I still don't know the measure of how toxic the community can be when in regards to this topic. That's the thing that I find baffling when people complain about toxic communities. They don't always have any sorts of proofs or evidences or how toxic the community is. But one user brought up the point that this defensive mentality is thanks to some of the fans wanting to get the game so much to the point where they will defend censorship because they will get the game anyway. Which basically means, I don't care if I get an inferior version than the Japanese one, at least I can get the game. Well, scratch that on the censorship apologist bingo. What else to scratch here? Oh yes, they barely changed anything. They also argued that it isn't so important to you. They worried that they won't make any sequels too, so let's scratch that. Oh, and let's not forget the actual reason why this entire thing banned. Alright, there we go. And yes, it's just that one scene. That's the problem. That's the problem with ESRB and game ratings nowadays. They will look at specific scenes that people will generally ignore, and they will base their ratings entirely on that scene alone. At least with Criminal Girls 2 censorship, the entire game is all about pleasing lolies, and I can see why people will get triggered by that. Even though they shouldn't, it's freaking fictional. But it's just that one scene for Tales of Berseria. The question, why are you so bothered with that one scene, should not be directed to the gamers that are concerned by it, but to the ratings boards and ESRB, because they got so fed up with this one scene. Oh, the entire game is about your typical Tale games of killing people en masse, but that one scene, that will cause the next Columbine. We should stop that before anything happens. It's the inherent paranoia going on with the ESRB and the game ratings nowadays that make me want to question whether or not they're actually in touch with reality. Or it was the English publishers of Bandai Namco that got triggered and they blamed the ESRB. Seriously, the ESRB has gotten serious flags for the past couple of years and not one person stopped for a moment and think, wait a second, all of these blames to ESRB, they were directed by the Western publishers. But the ESRB is being held by the guy who owned the GTA series. That, and I've yet to hear anyone from ESRB stepped out and said, this game triggered me. What I have heard is people's own localization team coming out and say, I don't translate games even though it's my job. Defending the game's garbage localization team of a company they used to work with and attacking other game developers for basically having their games uncensored. Could it be that Bandai Namco lied about this entire thing and just pinned the blame on ESRB?
If they don't have sukiyaki, then our theory is as bogus as Scientology.
Tinfoils aside, let's talk about this toxic community. I always maintain the position that you can't control over what people do inside a particular community, and I still maintain that position dearly. You just can't. Assholes are gonna be assholes. There are always gonna be people who are going to be absolute assholes. Assholes are like the sun. You can keep on complaining of how the sun rises, but the sun will still rise anyway. The most important thing is how you deal with it. And going back to the modder, him leaving this entire thing, that's his decision, whatever his decisions are. I'm not going to infringe on his rights to make it because that's his way of dealing with, on his point of view, the toxic community. This still raises the debate of whether or not this censorship is something that is a major turnoff for most of you, or just a thing that you will ignore regardless because you want to buy the game. So what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments down below. And for a final note to Bandai Namco, leave the PC version uncensored, please. Steam does not give a damn about ratings, and for the record, digital copies have sold better than their console counterparts. You might be losing your console audiences, but at least you have the PC crowd. That's all for the video today. If you like this, you can go ahead and click the like button and subscribe for more if you wish. You can support me on Patreon, and thanks for watching.